I will say we do like to live life on the light side. That's fun. We're cut up until I'm beating you fishing. Then it's not funny anymore. I'm 49 years old. I've beat you one time in my life fishing. And you told me, don't bring those fishing rods. That's garbage because you don't have the right line. You don't have the right setup. You use my fishing rods. Oh, no, Dad, let me try. And I wore you out. And you were so mad. You wouldn't let me go home. So you made me stay another day. You put on light line. And I think I beat you by like 10 fish the day before. So the next day you beat me by 40. And you rubbed it in my face pretty bad. But anyway, let's keep going.
So, well, that's kind of like Yogi Bear said. He never lost a baseball game. He just ran out of endings.
Yeah.
So I just extended the endings.
You
Instead
extended.
of a 9-ending game, we're going to have a 36-ending game. I'm going to win, but it might take me a little adapting to get it done, and it may take a few extra endings to get it done.
I don't know how, I met Dale Earnhardt down here at your farm on a deer hunt, and I got to hanging out with Dale Jr. We had messed around with some go-kart stuff with Danny McCaw, a guy who owned a marina and a friend of ours, and we were not very overly successful. Catfish was way more successful than the rest of us. I was terrible. And then started hanging out with Dale Jr. He kind of got me into racing. And growing up, I thought, I'm going to be a professional fisherman. That's what I thought I would do. I loved it. I loved the outdoors. I did like hunting more than I did like fishing. But at the same time, I loved being outside. I've never been much for enjoying a classroom setting, school. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to put on khakis and a tie and drive into town every day and go to work. That's just not my, and there are people, I've got dear friends, that's what they love, and that's awesome. But that's just not who I was. And so when I got into racing, man, it just seemed like it came so natural for me. It was something that clicked, and I really enjoyed it. And so as you kind of make that progression through the ranks, it's as I have kids now, I'm trying to teach them and train them to navigate life. You could stay at one little short track and become that short track hero, but that's as big as your fish tank's going to be. And so by going out and exploring and going to different racetracks and working hard to race against people who are a lot better than you, it just only honed and developed your skills, made you better. Yeah. And I can remember when that first started, you said, you were all about it. You were all for it. But I wanted to, I had ideas. Every young kid has ideas that they think are really good, and they're probably not. But I wanted to get a hauler and a team and all this stuff. You're like, yeah, I'm behind all of that, but I don't think you need a crew chief. You and Billy worked together, and you brought in a guy who was a veteran. He was a school teacher, Freddie Query, a short track champion, and he kind of mentored me and taught me how to think about race cars. And, I'm so grateful and thankful for that, because here's what it did. It taught me how to overcome hard things and how to work for something. I didn't have a crew chief who said, you do this, you do that, and you just drive the car. I had to learn how to do things I didn't know how to do. I had to learn how to weld. I had to learn how to set up a car. I had to learn how to do, now never got really good at welding, but I can farm weld. I can make it look rough, but it'll stick, but that's about it. But I had to learn a lot of things that people never get to experience that translate into my everyday life now, how to overcome obstacles. And so that was the start of that traveling. In my early 20s, we started traveling, racing in the All-Pro Series. I was probably 19, maybe 20 years old when I started that. And then we tried to make a few bush races early in my career, and it was a very pivotal. That's a very pivotal time. Most of my everyday life right now, all the people who are my direct reports that work underneath me are college age kids.
Yeah,
and I can identify with the struggle that they have, and trying to figure out life, and that's where we were. We were burning up the road and trying to get good at racing.
Well, I had all these plans, and I had it all laid out. And my plan was that we were going to get Hank Parker Jr. fully sponsored, get him winning races, and get all this going. And then it was going to be Billy's turn. Mm-hmm. So we didn't get those sponsors that we thought we were going to get. So I spent all my money over here trying to build up with Hank Jr. So when you came along, Man, where Hank Jr. says he can weld, but not so good, you're an awesome welder.
Yeah.
You learn, and you had to pick up, and this is a story I got to tell. And the Smothers Brothers, if anybody goes back that far, there was once an album cover. Tom and Dick were the two Smothers Brothers. And I think Dick had the cowboy suit with a sheriff's star and had a six-shooter, a cap buster, and had on cowboy boots, and he had a real pony. And Tom was over there with a broom and a corn cob for a gun, and it said, "Mom loves you best."
Yeah.
And so Hank Jr., we've got a stable of 5 race cars. And at that time, we had a big 18-wheeler that we could carry 2 race cars, and we were working on the 6th and the 7th car. We had chassis set up in the race shop. And so Billy calls me one day and says, "Hey, Dad, I need to have a meeting with you." I said, "Okay, can we meet by phone?" No, I need you to come to the race shop." I said, "Okay, I'll be there in a few minutes." And he said, "Okay, I'll be waiting on you." So I go in my office and I sat down. I said, "Okay, Billy, what we need to meet about?" He said, "Dad, how about walk out here?" And we had a balcony. You remember where all the parts went upstairs? He said, "How about walk up here and walk up on the balcony where you could overlook all the race cars and the chassis and everything?" And we walk up there, and he said, "Just kind of take a look around." And I looked, and he said, "Yeah, that's a speedway car, isn't it, Dad?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Now, that's a short track car?" "Yep." "And what's that, a mile and a half car you got there? And you got 2 new chassis?" Now, all these cars, they're Hank Jr.'s. Is that right? I said, "Wait, yeah." He said, okay. All right, how about walk out here and look, and we've got a big Mack 18-wheeler and a competition trailer, carries 2 race cars. He said, "Now, what is that, Dad?" I said, "Well, that's the race hauler." He said, "And that's for Hank Jr." He said, "Well, what have I got?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh Lord, here we go." So he said, I got a little budget here." So he said, "Come on back to the office." And so he lays out. He wants a Townsend car. He wants this. He wants a Hampke car. Yeah, Hampke car. He wants all this stuff. And he said, this is what I need to make all this happen." And you got it.
We worked our way into it.
And so I said, "Okay, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but okay, it's fair." So, but Mom, Dad loved Hank Jr. best.
Well, I was just happy to be in the band. Man, I got to work on Hank's team and work with those guys and be a part of the team, and that was good for me. I needed that. I needed to learn and be educated, and I got all that. And Hank Jr. was a good big brother, and he was kind of my coach along those times, and it was good. I mean, it was a good fit. It matched up just perfect, I think. And you're talking about Freddie coming in and being the coach. Man, what a difference that made.
Yeah.
Freddie Query, he got us mentally prepared. We were doing things, but mentally we weren't there. And this guy, he's amazing. He's a short track hero, and he took us to another level.
Yeah.